We begin the news at this hour in west of the continent, where Mali and Burkina Faso have formally notified the Economic Community of West African States of their intention to withdraw from the regional bloc, with Niger likely to follow suit. The military regimes in these nations have cited concerns over ECOWAS encroaching on their sovereignty as grounds for their withdrawal. In a joint declaration, the three countries accuse ECOWAS of turning from its founding principles and also failing under external influence, posing a threat to member states. In the meantime, Nigeria, a key player in the region, has expressed sadness over the departure of the countries from the bloc, reaffirming its commitment to due process and welfare of all citizens of member states. Despite the rift, Nigeria stressed that it remains open to engagement with the departing nations. Let's also tell you that hundreds of people have taken to the streets of Niamey to celebrate the announcement made by the military regimes in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger on their immediate withdrawal from the West African bloc ECOWAS. The Prime Minister, appointed by Niger's regime on Thursday, blasted ECOWAS for bad faith after the bloc largely shunned a planned meeting in Niamey. ECOWAS blamed an aircraft's technical fault in Abuja for the cancellation of its mission to Niger.
Nous sommes là parce que c'est une demande des peuples des États du Sahel pour sanctionner la CEDEAO qui à l'origine était partie pour être une CEDEAO des peuples mais qui s'est avérée être un instrument au service de l'impérialisme français.
Nous sommes libérés de cette CEDEAO-là. Au diable leurs sanctions. Et on considère que dorénavant, il y aura des accords bilatéraux avec les autres États. Donc c'est fini avec cette structure satanique qui veut étouffer le peuple nigérien ou bien le peuple du Sahel parce qu'ils ont décidé de quitter l'impérialisme français.
When I head to Rivers State, where the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has warned the newly appointed Chief of Staff and Commissioners not to use their new position to stalk or antagonize perceived political enemies. Governor Fubara gave the warning shortly after swearing in the Chief of Staff and the 5 special advisors at the Executive Chamber of the Government House in Port Harcourt on Monday. The governor noted that the purpose of governance was to render services even in the face of difficulties. He urged the newly sworn-in appointees to see their appointment as a call to duty, rise to the occasion of adding value to governance, and demonstrate that they are truly credible men of the state. Those sworn in were Ehi Edison as Chief of Staff, Government House, with Dr. Darlington Orji, Solomon Eke, Aminayana Sam Fiberesima, Diya Baraniye, and Ohia Prince as special advisors. Let's also tell you that the Rivers State House of Assembly has accused Governor Siminalayi Fubara of engaging in illegality with regards to his recent appointment. The Speaker, Martin Amaewhule, leveled the accusation against the governor during plenary on Monday at the Assembly quarters in Port Harcourt, the state capital. The appointment are to head 3 parastatals of government, namely Local Government Service Commission, Bureau of Public Procurement, and New City Development Authority. The Speaker explained that the mode of appointment was provided in law and there is no provision for acting chairmen. The Speaker accused the governor of tyranny even as the House resolved to write a letter to him warning against his actions. The new developments in the Assembly have continued to fuel speculations about whether or not the House will resume its aborted impeachment proceedings against the governor. The impeached Speaker of the Ogun State House Assembly, Olakunle Oluomo, alongside 2 other principal career officers of the Assembly, Dayo Samuel and Adeyemo Adedeji, were on Monday arraigned before a federal high court sitting in Oke-Moso, Abeokuta, the capital of the state. Oluomo and the duo were dragged before the court by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over alleged misappropriation of public funds running into 2.5 billion naira. Oluomo allegedly committed this financial fraud while he was Speaker of the Assembly in 2022. The former speaker was last week removed by 18 out of 26 lawmakers over allegations bordering on financial misappropriation, high-handedness, gross misconduct, arrogance, poor leadership style, lack of focus and transparency, and also pitching members against themselves. The presiding judge, Justice Agatha Okeke, however, adjourned the case to February 29 and March 1st. We'll stay in the court where the Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the suit by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, against the federal government until April 22, 2024. Kanu accused the federal government of kidnapping him from Kenya and bringing him to Nigeria for trial. He also wants an order for his release from the Department of State's custody. Kanu asked the court to order the federal government to pay him 50 billion naira as damages. Other reliefs sought by him include whether by the operation of Section 15 of the Extradition Act, Cap E25, Laws of Federations of Nigeria 2004, he can be competently and legally tried for offences stated in Count 1 to 14 of the 15-count amended charge against him. He's also asking whether the way and manner in which he was abducted in Kenya is in line with constant extant laws. Staying with court matters, Nigeria's Supreme Court on Monday reserved judgment on an appeal the All Progressive Congress APC and its candidate, Senator Aisha Dahiru, popularly known as Binani, filed to challenge the outcome of the governorship election that held in Adamawa State on March 18. A 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Iyango Koro, adjourned the matter for judgment after all parties adopted the final briefs of argument. The appellant, through the legal team headed by Chief Amaewhule, prayed the court to sack Governor Ahmadu Fintiri of Adamawa State from office. They urged the Supreme Court to set aside the concurrent verdict of the Court of Appeal and the Adamawa State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, which upheld Fintiri's re-election. Binani maintained that she polled the majority of valid votes cast at the election and was validly declared the winner by the State Resident Electoral Commission, REC. We now turn our attention to security matters, where the Nigerian Navy ship, a Pathfinder in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, said its personnel arrested 11 suspected oil thieves in Krakrama Creeks in Nasari, Toro local government area of Rivers State. The Navy said the suspects were arrested while in a wooden boat laden with equipment used in the construction of an illegal refining site. The commander, NNS Pathfinder, Commodore Desmond Igbo, disclosed this while parading the suspects and the items before newsmen in Port Harcourt on Monday, before handing them over to personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Commodore Igbo said the items include 20 gas cylinders were carefully concealed in the boat to ward off the eyes of operatives. Further findings revealed that the suspects were conveying the items to Bill General Area for the construction of an illegal refining site. The Northern Youth Progressive Networks has called for the continuous use of private security companies to tackle the menace of oil theft in the country. The group, while speaking to newsmen in the nation's capital, Abuja, says since the adoption of this strategy by government, Nigeria has witnessed an increase in daily oil production and recorded less incidences of pipeline vandalism.
All security agencies have been overstretched. So bringing in private security to collaborate, most especially private securities who are committed towards the growth and development of this great nation, Nigeria, I think it must be encouraged. Because even in the United States, there are private securities that augment or consolidate the U.S. Army. So there's nothing bad about it. And today we are stating unequivocally that Tantita security outfit has done a marvelous job. If you follow the trend of oil theft in Nigeria, you get to understand that since their involvement in this security, in safeguarding the pipeline facility, The production thereabout from 5,000 barrels per day has shoot up to 1.8 million barrels per day, and they have made a lot of arrests. They have arrested over 7.
Thank you for staying tuned. We'll now bring you more on stories on security. And some residents of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have expressed worry over the high rates of kidnapping being experienced within the capital. They say the high rate of kidnapping has become a cause for concern, calling on the government to march its words with action in ending the menace. Marvelous Obomano has details.
Nigeria's federal capital and seat of power has witnessed an upsurge in kidnapping since the turn of the year. Earlier this month, kidnappers targeted Sagwari Estate layout in Duse in the Buhari Area Council of the territory, abducting no fewer than 10 persons. The situation took a tragic turn a few days later when it emerged that the kidnappers had killed 2 of the victims. Also, Nabiha, a final year student of biology from the Ahmadu Bello University, was kidnapped alongside some members of her family within the same area council, but an unfortunate end as she was murdered by her captors following her family's inability to raise funds for ransom. The Nigeria Army Estate in the Kurudu area of the FCT also got a taste of the kidnappers' violence as 3 residents of the estate were allegedly abducted. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has given a marching order to security agencies to tackle the issue of kidnapping and other forms of insecurity. Now we are here on the streets of Abuja to find out from residents how free or secure they are living in the nation's capital.
It's worrisome that the spate of attack on FCT now is cause for a concern as a citizen, and FCT is no longer safe as it is before.
The sophisticated weapon that these kidnappers are using, you don't see it with our police.
Residents say they are worried about this ugly trend and want both the government and security agencies to roll up their sleeves.
As a speaker now, before next week, every police station went there for the 6 area councils will give them more vehicles.
They also called for collaboration between security agencies and locals in the area councils for information sharing.
If you look at the local areas, those people who are committed insecurity, they are from one communities. Even those people outside that are coming in, they must have signal.
Every kidnapper has an informant in the environment, and they are from one house in the environment, in that environment. That's why I say I advocate, I support the issue of local security.
Despite the worries by residents, the Minister of the Federal Capital has given assurances to residents and a stern warning to those behind kidnapping.
If you don't say you be one of the people where they give information to these criminals, if you don't say you be one of the criminals too, your time don't reach. Your time don't do anything. You don't reach. Me and the security agency, we will follow the Asote and not go near Gwagwalade again.
As many of the residents are expressing worry over the issue of kidnapping in the nation's capital, they will be hoping that the minister's directive and promise will be backed by action so that they can sleep with their both eyes closed. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomano.
The governor of Plateau State, located in Nigeria's North Central region, has reassured citizens of the state government's commitment to ending the current wave of violence being witnessed in several local government areas of the state. Governor Caleb Motfwang, while commissioning the 34 vehicle procured and donated by local council transition committee chairmen to aid efforts aimed at tackling insecurity, assured residents that the state government will not only rest, but also ensure the protection of lives and property. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe completes this report.
It is 1 week after another cycle of violence broke out in Mangu local government area of Plateau State, leaving many dead and properties worth millions of naira destroyed. while there has been a call for governance at the local government level to do more in preventing violence between aggrieved groups. This time, 17 transition committee chairmen in the state have made donations to the state government to ease logistical challenges being faced by security agencies during efforts to curb insecurity.
Since December, we have not really known relatively peace in the state. So we decided as a local government and with the ministry, with the support of the local government, to get vehicles so that it will enable the state to be able to curtail some security issues in an event where there is an emergency. And that's by the grace of God, we want to believe this will checkmate so many places that securities cannot be able to move into our nook and crannies in the state.
Some believe that this is a fallout from the visit by the Nigeria's Chief of the Army Staff as he visited Mangu last weekend to assess the level of damage and address troops on the front line. While commissioning the vehicles, Governor Caleb Mutfwang commended their efforts, noting that the initiative will go a long way in containing the recent cycle of violence being witnessed in some parts of the state.
I want to urge those who will be in charge of these vehicles to know that it is a trust and they must use it wisely and prudently for the protection of lives and property at the local government level. This is the beginning of our determination to revamp the security architecture of the plateau. Very soon, the state government will come with its own complement that will assist the security agencies across the state in ensuring that they carry out their functions effectively.
Many will be hoping that these 34 vehicles, when distributed across the local government areas in the state, will achieve the purpose for which they were procured. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyonwi.
And now let's talk more on the Rivers State House Assembly accusing the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, of misconduct in his recent appointment. And to talk about this, I'm being joined live by Godswill Jumbo, a political commentator. Good morning from here. Glad to have you join me.
Yes, good morning. A pleasure being here with you.
All right, let's get straight into it. Now, what's your view on the recent political developments in Rivers State?
Okay. Like you said, I'm Godswill Jumbo. I'm the publisher of Christina Reports, the journalist, the political analyst. I think more of an analyst than a commentator. I hardly comment. Your news center will not allow me rest. So let me comment. Okay, coming back to Rivers State, the House of Assembly, the purported House of Assembly members, making issues with the governor about his appointments. They are no more members of the House of Assembly by law. They don't exist. The whole contraption, sitting somewhere and saying things and getting a few bloggers to put it out for the people, for the public to see. It does not amount to anything. I said it here on your program, that the whole drama that the FCT minister and his cohorts are, weaving around the governor, His Excellency Siminalayi Fubara, it will amount to nothing. It will fizzle out. It's just a matter of time. When trying to set him up with the president leading to work, impeaching him leading to work, they thought maybe the Supreme Court will be swept away. But at the Supreme Court, we have learned justices. We have justices who have their own reputation consolidated in their own rights. And they are not pushovers. They should be able to look at the issues, look at the merits of the matter, and look at the implications of the polity, and be able to come up with wise judgments. And that is what has happened. So coming back now, and some people, for me, I call them jobless people because they don't have jobs as it is now. They are not working anywhere. There's no organization anywhere that they are employees of. So I call them jobless people. So they just sit somewhere and say something and make it look like they're doing something that has to do with, legislative work. Really, that's not the case. At the point where they made that decision to become from the party, the political party that sponsored them to that office, the law says clearly, and this has been adjudicated up to the apex court, the Supreme Court. So there are no more lawmakers in the first place, let alone constituting a distinguished institution for the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Right.
So whatever you do there amounts to nothing.
Okay,
So
if I may ask you, Godswill, how do you think the appointment of parastatals by the governor violates legal procedures?
Okay, there are extant provisions which the governor should have followed. But we also know there is something called political exigency. There is continuum in government. There is no vacuum in leadership. So if there is an exigency and that requires, to be addressed, and the governor, thinks in the circumstance he has to act, he is not elected, to pander to the, to the whims and caprices of some politicians. He is elected to serve Rivers people. And at every point where there is a need to be addressed, he will address them. And if, and by the way, the appointments that are being referred to are in acting capacity. So meaning even the government takes note of the fact that there are aspects of the law that have to be complied with. And since for now the circumstance does not allow, for that compliance to happen, okay, acting. And for now, let somebody be there and be able to hold the place down, and let's see how things work out, and then we close that gap when it is convenient to be able to, follow through. Okay, by the way, let's assume that the appointees are supposed to go for screening and confirmation by the House of Assembly. For now, we just have about 4 or 5 House of Assembly members. Are those 4 or 5 House of Assembly members the people that will now sit and screen and confirm? Already people are making issues out of the budget that was, passed by the House of Assembly and assented to by the governor. And then the mischievous people are asking him to represent it to a bunch of people who are no more, lawmakers in the eye of the law.
But
now,
then,
is he going to repeat the mistake?
Yes.
Obviously, no.
Yes.
He's going to wait for INEC to start the process of having those seats that are vacant to be replaced. That is why the appointments are made in acting capacity.
Now, talking about the appointments, if I may, yes, if I may, just quickly, Godswill, talking about appointments, the leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly, and that's Martin Amaewhule, raised observation regarding the appointment of these, appointees, like you rightly mentioned. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, let me correct the impression. We are the media. We are journalists. We are the gatekeepers of the information architecture of the society. So let's be able to do what we do in tandem within the precincts, within the environment of the law. The law says when you become from the party that sponsored you to a political office, you lose that political office. So Martin Amaewhule, I do not agree that we, the media, should refer to Martin Amaewhule as even a member of the House of Assembly, let alone as a speaker or leader. He is not a lawmaker as it is now. So, but coming back to the issue he's raising, what is his problem with the government? He is out of the government. He is out of office. He is not employed anywhere. He's not a member of the House of Assembly. He's not an appointee of the governor. He's not an official of the Rivers State government. So why is he making issues of whatever the governor does? He should make it in his capacity as a Rivers citizen. And he should be able to point out what laws we have violated. And then he should activate his locus as a Rivers citizen and take the governor to court and let the court be able to say, Governor, look at what you have done. a Rivers citizen, one of your people, is saying that what you did is not right, and be able to, get that sorted out. He should do that, but not to, impersonate the person, the office of the Speaker of the House of Assembly. You understand? So somebody that is who by law is no more a member of the House of Assembly cannot speak from that perspective. And I think the media should not consolidate error in the polity by referring to, okay, if I say I'm the president of Nigeria, is it right for the media to report that Godswill Jumbo is the president of Nigeria when we know that the incumbent president, the extant president, the existing president is Bola Ahmed Tinubu? That is the president of Nigeria. So if I sit in my kitchen and stand by my wife and say I am the president of Nigeria, would it be right for the media to spread it everywhere that Godswill Jumbo is the president of Nigeria? That would be wrong. So if we know the position of the law, and this has been consolidated by the Supreme Court, that once you vacate, the party that sponsored you to office, you lose the office. So we, the media, should not consolidate that error. We should stop referring to people who are no more members of the House of Assembly as if they were one. Whatever they say is of no moment. If they have an issue as Rivers citizens, they should pursue that, a grievance, that issue that they have, a contention with. They know there are avenues. You can write to the governor and say, Governor,
I'm afraid that's the most we can take on the news.
Or they can go to
It's a fine place to wrap it up. Indeed, we are the media, and our duty is to bring issues to bear. But thank you so much for your time on the news. Godswill Jumbo, a commentator, a political commentator. Thank you once again. The news continues on the east of the continent, where the United Nations says on Monday that fighting between rival communities in the disputed region claimed by both Sudan and South Sudan has killed 54 people, including 2 United Nations peacekeepers. According to local authorities, the clashes in Amaewhule, a contested oil-rich territory straddling the border of both countries, broke out at the weekend. The United Nations Interim Security Force by Amaewhule said it strongly condemns these attacks against civilians and peacekeepers. The body says currently, according to local authorities, 52 civilians have lost their lives, while 64 others are said to be gravely wounded. It said peacekeepers came under fire on Sunday while transporting affected civilians from UNISFA base to a hospital. It adds that a Pakistani peacekeeper was killed and 4 uniformed personnel and 1 local civilian sustained injury. In Central Africa, hundreds of members from a self-styled community defense group have made a remarkable move towards peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo's ongoing conflict. In a significant development, the unarmed civilians converged in Bunia, the provincial center, to sign a unilateral peace accord with the Congolese army on Monday. The group, identifying themselves as Zare, representing multiple communities victimized by violence in Ituri province, expressed their commitment to the peace process and community integration initiatives led by Congolese authorities. Now, this initiative comes amidst long-standing inter-ethnic tensions, notably between the Hema and Lendu tribes, with a history marred by violence and displacement. General Chalwe Monkutu Ngwashi, Ituri's deputy governor, welcomed the group's commitment, emphasizing the need for mutual forgiveness and disarmament of hearts. In South Africa, the ambassador of the People's Republic of China in South Africa, Chen Jia-Ondong, is hosting Chinese New Year celebrations, also known as the Spring Festival in Pretoria. 2024 is dedicated as the Year of the Dragon, the 5th animal sign in the Chinese zodiac cycle made up of 12 animals. The celebration occasion provides a platform for cultural exchange with a vibrant and enriching experience, showcasing the rich traditions and customs of the Chinese community with a fusion of South African rich diversity.
What I really like about Chinese New Year is, like, in any type of holiday, especially from China, it's a really fun time. Like, there's always all this excitement going around. There's these, like, this huge events, And I really like it, considering that it's another part of China's like rich history and how it's all like still going on in this modern day and age. And it's always how fun to see people getting excited, and it feels like it just draws us a bit closer than any time of the year.
It is my first time experiencing their New Year celebration, and I'm very excited. I can't wait to see what they have in store for us, but when I looked at the program, I got some exciting things to see, so I can't wait.
I think it's a good chance for we overseas Chinese people to gather together to celebrate the Chinese New Year. And like 10 days later, it will be the Chinese New Year Eve, and we can experience the atmosphere of Chinese New Year before we go back to China.
South African former President Jacob Zuma has been suspended from the African National Congress, ANC, by the highest decision-making body, the National Executive Committee of the party, a political party that he once led. His suspension follows an announcement he made in December that he will not be campaigning or voting for the ANC. South Africa will be heading to the polls for the general elections this year, and according to the ANC, Zuma not voting or campaigning for the party while a member is a breach of the party's constitution. Zuma has been given 48 hours to respond to allegations leveled against him. And to talk about this, I'm being joined live on the news by Hammond Pretorius, Director of Communications from South African Institute of Race Relations. Good morning from here. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Now, let's talk about how the African National Congress is expected to be impacted, in the upcoming elections.
So the 2024 elections are lining up to be possibly the most significant elections in South Africa since 1994. The reason being that a whole range of opinion polls seem to indicate that the ANC, for the first time in 30 years, will not be securing an overall majority at a national level in a national and provincial election that elects the parliament and the government of the 9 provinces. So the ANC is quite in a vulnerable position, perhaps the most vulnerable position it has been in electorally. In the 2021 local government elections, the party failed to meet the 50% mark, and all opinion polls seem to indicate that they are struggling to get to that 50% mark. So at this stage, the ANC is quite vulnerable for its majority nationally, all polls seems to indicate. Now, former President Zuma, had a rather controversial 9 years in office where corruption and economic growth really became issues in the sense that economic growth flatlined and corruption just got out of hand. Now, those corruption problems have not been solved, but the economic problems have also not been solved. So the ANC is struggling with that. In Zuma's home province of KwaZulu-Natal, there's the traditional party of the Zulu people before 1994 was the Inkatha Freedom Party. So already in KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC is worried whether the IFP, the party of former leader who died last year, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, might be able to challenge them in KwaZulu-Natal for the government of that province. And now with President Zuma going his own direction, that is a further headache for the party, especially in KwaZulu-Natal.
Now, what factors do you think would likely influence the performance of the ANC, considering Jacob Zuma, being suspended?
So traditionally, the ANC's support has very much tracked with the economic performance in the country. If you look at the economic data from the years 2000 to 2007, between 2003 and 2007, the South African economy performed the best it had ever done in many, many years under the ANC. And in 2004, it got 70% of the vote. So what usually indicates where the ANC support is going is economic performance. And that's not in a good state at the moment. So the further factors that might complicate the current situation is that the ANC might be more reliant on its traditional voting base of Black voters who still remember the benefit that the ANC brought in the first 10 years after apartheid with new governance and the rollout of opportunity, especially through housing and water. But President Ramaphosa is, while he is the most popular politician in the country, but he is in a difficult situation where he is part of one of the smallest ethnic groups in the country. He is a vendor, where previous presidents of the ANC have mostly been either Xhosa or Zulu. And President Zuma is a Zulu, was quite a popular leader in his home province. So his personal connection with the province and his ability as a charismatic populist campaigner might prove a headache, because the people of KwaZulu-Natal did support him for a large part of his presidency, and he might be able to reignite that sort of support.
Well, thank you so much for your time on the news. Herman Pretorius, thank you once again.
A pleasure.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Mali, Burkina Faso notify regional bloc of pull-out plan. Groups in DR Congo have signed a unilateral peace accord in historic move. And we told you that the United Nations have said 54 people died in clashes in the disputed region between Sudan and South Sudan. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.